todos. Una presentación en Madrid increíble. Me encantaría hacer la entera presentación en español, pero me falta mucho vocabulario. Entonces, si quieres entender algo, lo voy a hacer en inglés. Me disculpen. So, I am Tristan Charvillat. I work in Paris. I've been at BlaBlaCar for the last 5 years and a half, and I actually just moved. So, I'm now responsible for the design at Malt. For those who don't know, Malt is a platform that connects freelancers and businesses. So we help freelancers to find business opportunities, and we help the clients to find, talents and workforce. So this is an interesting topic right now with COVID and all those changes. So the freelance world has exploded. So that's the company I'm working for right now, but that's not the topic. The topic today is about product discovery. So just for me to know, who's familiar with the product discovery thing? Right. Okay. A lot of you. For those who are not clear with that, it's pretty much the process that you put in place from your first idea to a solid solution that you want to ship. So everything that's happening before delivery. So product discovery, product delivery. That's pretty much it. And so things have evolved a lot over the last 10, 15 years. Probably it's a lot of influence coming from the design thinking approaches. So design thinking started maybe 20 years ago in the US, but it takes a long time to come to Europe. So over the last 10 years, we've seen it growing. We've seen the mindset changing, and probably thanks to that. So there are plenty of different methodology for that. But I think it really helped us to change the way we approach the product, especially in the early stage of the design. So what I hear right now is product discovery is great. I mean, everybody likes product discovery. And I think this is due to the fact that we really developed a much better user-centric mindset. Now talking about putting the user at the center of our process is something quite common. It was not before. But now we talk and think about user issue. We know that we need to fix it. So that's pretty much done. The second thing is we're getting much better at generating ideas. So I think we understand that if you want to have a good idea, you need to have a lot of crappy ideas first. And so we encourage that. So today it's not crazy to organize a meeting in your company saying, okay, guys, we have 2 hours and we just generate ideas. We don't care. Bad ideas, good ideas, we don't judge. And that's fine. I mean, that's really good. We love it. And it was not the case before. So thank you, design thinking again. And maybe the last thing is we're getting much better at test and learn. So we also accept the idea that a solid solution doesn't come straight and you need to iterate on it. So we know how to prototype, creating those intermediate artifacts that you want to use to pre-test your proposal before you go to the heavy and expensive process of delivery. So that's great. Seems like just a perfect world. But the truth is, I hear so many times, yes, product discovery, fantastic, I love it, but doesn't work for me. But I understand that it has a lot of value. But, for me, I don't have the need. Because actually I work in a startup and we have a very visionary founders and he knows. So no need to discover. Or my boss, he's very into the product, he loves that and he gives us the direction. So pretty much the solution has been decided top down, no need to discover. The second excuse or reason is no time. We are fast-moving company. We don't have time to do those things. We need to ship. So great process for those who have time, but we don't. Okay. Third excuse is, and probably that's an excuse that's coming from people that did practice a lot of design thinking methodologies, is it's great, but it's super foggy. I mean, we generate 50 ideas, and so what? I mean, who's going to choose? Do we make a vote? Like, does a vote can choose the right solution for a user? I don't know. So it hurts and it's painful, and so we just don't do it. And the last excuse is it actually have no impact. It's fantastic as a team building exercise, and we create those mix of hybrid Lego and marshmallow prototype that, give the direction, but that doesn't go to delivery, actually. We don't ship marshmallow, we ship code, and so we have a lot of brilliant prototypes on the desk, and there's no impact. So I think that's a pretty common pattern of let's say, excuses, and this is what we've been working on for the last probably 15 years with Rémi, who's actually the Chief People Officer at BlaBlaCar, and myself. So I don't know who heard the presentation from Ben this morning about design system. It was absolutely brilliant, and there's one thing that I really like is the idea that even if it's an internal tool, treat it as a product. Thank you, Ben, for that. Really love it. And I think without really knowing it, that's a bit how we approach our process, our proposal for a methodology. We tried to address the user's needs and expectations and problems, basically. So we created that method. It took a long time, all those years, basically, because we started from bottom-up approach. It's not a theoretical approach that we try to apply. It's a practical approach that we transform into a theory after that. It's called discovery discipline. And so if we take example, there's no need. And you understand that, yes, there's no need to have an overall direction because my boss is a visionary person, he sees very far. But that doesn't mean that there's no need for clarity. And if you experience that, having a very top-down organization, it happens a lot that, okay, you take the idea, you start doing it, you bring it back, and the boss says, no, that's not what I had in mind. Say, but that's what you told me. Yes, I told that, but it's a direction. And that's happened so many times. And so having clarity on the direction is not optional, and that helps a lot. So even though you have a direction, you need clarity. The time aspect is also a very real problem. I don't have time for that. But what we discovered is having clarity on where you want to go doesn't necessarily require time. It just requires being clear. So maybe you're already super clear on what you want to do, and then it's going to go fast. So we organized that method around 7 questions that you just need to answer. If you can answer those questions, then fine. It took maybe a day to do that, and go on. If you cannot answer that question, and you recognize that they are critical for building a great product, then maybe you have a problem, and maybe you need to take some time to fix it. The foggy part is, I love the foggy part. And I think it's the consequence of the fact we're very good at generating ideas. We embrace that, but I think we're very bad at making decisions. And so the more we generate ideas, the more noise we create, and the more difficult it is to converge and make decisions. And so the focus part, I think, is the hard part. And we developed in that methodology a principle of deliverables. So it's 2 things. You have activities to diverge as much as you want, but the final delivery is something that is extremely clear and focused as a decision. And that helped a lot the team just to get out of this fog and saying, okay, that's the idea I want to take. And the last part about the impact is just the fact that we need to recognize that marshmallow doesn't go to delivery, and that we need to go one step further and go to the real prototyping activity and test it. And so the product delivery the product discovery, should not end when you have a rough idea, but should end when you have convictions. There's one game I like a lot, which is it's the who's who, qui es. So maybe in Spanish might be the quién es. You know that game, right? It's a funny game, and I think it's a very accurate metaphor for discovery, actually. Because sometimes we mix up discovery and invention. If you want to discover something, it basically means you will find something that already exists, but nobody found before. That's what discovery is about. Invention is another story. You generate something completely new. Most of the time, it comes from yourself. It's a different process. And I wouldn't ask every team working in the company to invent solution on every project they're working on. That would make no sense. I think it would be a mess. So actually what they have to do is to remove the noise and find where the best solution is. And I think that's exactly what KNS is about. You ask questions, and we remove the noise. The solution is already there, but it's kind of hidden in the mass of possibilities. And that's a strategy, actually. You can be good at KNS or you can be bad. I discovered that with my kids. And it comes with the clarity of the answers you get. So my son says, oh, does it look fun? And looks fun is not an accurate question, and he won't win with that because, well, that's very subjective, maybe not. And we know that the best solution is to ask, well, is it a male or female or glasses or blue hair? So that's the same principle. You need to ask precise question, and then you get clear answer, and you have your solution. It sounds simple, right? Yes, so that's the series of questions. We look at business target, we explore your usage scenario, your narrative, the user touch points, so basically the end-to-end experience, the bricks that you want to steal, reuse, the user interface, and your level of confidence. And today we don't have time to go through the whole process, but I just want to take one example, which is the usage scenario. What does it mean to be focused and clear on the usage scenario? So, I'm working at Malt, and it's a fast-moving company. So I got an email from my peer on the product side saying, hi, Tristan, I'm sure you have a great time in Madrid, but we work, so probably you can do something, and we'd like you to move forward with a project, which is designing a highway sign. Fair enough, so probably you have time, etc. So I haven't. Maybe we can use that session to do it. So he will be happy. So I have the PRD, the product requirement document. So that's what I need to do. So first thing, it's a highway sign for Madrid highway. So we're lucky. So first thing, Tristan, can you please indicate the main city that is ahead? This is Madrid. That's going to help people to find the right direction. So very important, fair enough. So I'm good with that. Second thing, we should provide the 4 cities on the way to Madrid, 4 main cities, so that if people are interested about stopping those cities, they should know about it. Plus, you should add the distance for every city. So that's what I did. So we're good. Next. You should also indicate the next exit plus the distance. This is the standard for highways. We cannot discuss that. There's no time, so let's do it and use the standard process. So I did it. Right. Plus. So we find very interesting after discussion with the other product manager that the gas station is an important asset for our product, and we would like you to make it simple. Just indicate the next gas station, it's very important, etc., etc. So I did it. The marketing team just reached out and said that we have a very important partnership with some hotels in the region. It's very important for the business. It's a co-marketing activity. There's a lot of money there. No big deal. Tristan, just move forward. Can you please indicate 2 choices so we show that we have some supply, etc., etc., blah, blah, blah. Okay, 2 choices. Now the legal constraints. So Tristan, there is a legal constraint here that we cannot discuss. We need to indicate the next emergency station so that people know if they have an issue on their way. Come on, emergency. And last but not least, the business development team is very interested about our project, and what they would like is to develop a partnership with the camping and the touristic castles around, because this is a very touristic place and this is an opportunity to develop the business, etc., etc. Here we go. So, does that sound a little bit familiar with anyone in the room? And I think this is happening a lot of time. As a designer, we know that by heart. And I think here we just miss a key question that we need to ask and get a clear answer to. And the clear question is what the fuck? Sorry. What the first use case, right? Fuck is first use case. So that's the question we need to ask ourselves, basically. What is the first use case? And you can say in another way is, what do we want our product to be optimized for? And that's the really critical question. So maybe you're super clear on that, and you go fast. And if you're not clear, maybe this is worth thinking a little bit about it. So I just want to take a concrete example, because that was a highway, so if you're like, okay, highway, different story. So that's the Google page. So it's in French, but I'm sure it should look the same pretty much everywhere. So let's see the use cases that we have here. So this is news, right? A lot of news, different structure, but basically that's news. The next part is advertisement. Here we have search, which is another use case. Here's the connection for user. We have the email feature. We have F should be the partnership. We have another advertising part and, oh, no? And yes, okay. And we have the result for sports. So what would happen if we, this is very theoretical, right? What would happen if we apply a what the fuck question on Yahoo? And the answer could be maybe search. Maybe search is an important use case for Yahoo. So if we apply that on Yahoo, it would be, let's focus on the C part. So yes, it would look like this somehow. You remove everything or you center. So I know what you're thinking. This is a caricature. This would never work. There's just one search field in a page, so that's ridiculous. I know. But, you know, that's what could happen if you apply that mindset. It's very much focused, and probably Yahoo will optimize the product for search. So what we do in the method is, after that exploration phase where we try to figure out all the use cases and all the problems you want to fix, that's very important. Then we ask one question, which is what the fuck, and you fill in that template. And that template is just a classic template. You say, I am A, and you talk about your target user. And when I try to do something, which is the use case, what matters the most to me is my need, right? My objective, what I want to do. But it turns out that there's many constraints on the way, and I need to do a workaround. And I think I want to insist on the workaround aspect, because when you do observation, I think this is the most interesting part, is the workaround. I think people are super clever, and they always find a way to work around your product and solve their problems. And so if you see someone using your product and doing something aside, like, you know, I use your product, but I take notes on the side and use my phone to calculate something. This is gold. This is fantastic, because that's the workaround. It means that your product is not targeting the right thing. We're missing something because they use another solution to do it. So that's a very interesting part of the use case. So that's pretty much it. That's the methodology. For every step, we have a clear deliverable that you need to fill in. So for business target, we'll ask you, what is the key KPI that you want to impact? Not the 6 KPI that you hope will move, but the one at the very core that you want to have an impact on. The usage scenario is the first use case. The third part, I think this one I like a lot, is just write a tweet, 280 characters to announce your feature. Should be simple, or it can be very hard. There's the Seth Godin, the guru of marketing, says, if you can't explain your strategy in 8 words, then you don't have a strategy. And I really like that idea that if you cannot explain very clearly what you want to do, then probably you're missing something there. And you don't need to have a prototype, right, to write a tweet. You can just write a tweet. The user touchpoint thing is, sometimes as product people, we're very much focused on the product part. So we want to fix everything within the product. But it turns out that the user experience starts way before the product and ends way after. And so in that exercise, we just ask people, okay, what are the 5 critical touch points for your feature to succeed? Maybe there's a marketing campaign up front that will announce your feature and start the education of your user. Maybe your user will drop and you have some automated emails to bring it back to your flow. Maybe there's a customer service that will answer the questions, and that's also a critical touch point. So yes, product is one of those, maybe 2 or 3, but there should be other elements around that you need to take into consideration. The 5th part, that's the one I love the most, is gold nuggets, but the step is called steal. Steal. And it's a bit provocative, but we like that a bit. And it's intended to highlight the fact that we need to reuse existing elements. I rent cars often to go to holidays or wherever. And every time I rent a car, I face the same experience. I know how to turn the car on, and I know how to start driving, whatever is the car model. But I always struggle changing that crazy radio station. Sometimes it takes me an hour, sometimes it takes me a week to understand how this audio management system is designed. And you know, I think Renault or any car manufacturer, they're very good at doing cars, but they really suck at doing audio management. It's not their job, basically. So probably Spotify will create horrible cars, but they know how to do interfaces to manage music. And so, as much as you can, leveraging existing pieces, leveraging pieces of product that people are used to, is the ideal practice. Because it requires a bit of humility, but you accept that they're doing a better job than you on that part. And so you will concentrate all your energy on the thing that you're best at. The user interface, obviously, is an important part, so we encourage doing prototypes, the most accurate prototype as possible, so that people behave roughly the same way that they would in real life. And at the end of that 6th step, we ask you to write 3 hypotheses that you want to validate. If those 3 hypotheses are validated by my testings, then I'm confident that I can move forward. So that the last step is just about validating those hypotheses. You do tests, you do whatever you want. And the final stage is, we call it go, no go, meaning you want to go to delivery or you don't want to go to delivery. It's a very basic and simple question, but it forces this idea that at this stage, there's no proof that your product will work. You have built confidence through all those steps, and you have a solid narrative around your product. But there's always that thing that it's a gut feeling thing. So we not try to look at more and more data, we just try to be honest and say, yes, I believe this is true, I believe we should go. That's the end of the process. If it's a go, we move to delivery. If it's not, then probably we need to do some work, some extra work. So we applied that over the last 3 years at BlaBlaCar. And I'd be honest if there was like significant drawback, but there's no for now. What we've seen is we increase the speed just because there's a clear direction. So if you run and you know where you're going to run much faster than if you run and you don't know where you're going. That's how it is, and that's how it works as well. The more clear you are on the direction, the faster you move. The funny paradox is, we always say choose between speed and quality, and I understand that. But the truth is, if you have a consolidated solution that, you make a building, but you just make sure that the floor just below is kind of solid. It doesn't mean it's perfect, but you ensure that step by step it's solid. At the end of the day, you have more quality. And if you start testing things at the end, and there are plenty of hypotheses, you couldn't really identify what hypothesis works and what's not. So having a very step-by-step process really helps to build product that have a higher quality. Not a guarantee that it will work amazingly, but it's higher quality. And the last part is the collaboration aspect. Ben mentioned that also this morning, is if you develop a common language, then things start to spread around. It's almost a cultural aspect. And that's what we see at BlaBlaCar now. The team, so we have 80 people in the product team, so some product manager and some designers. and they all speak through that framework. So a step called observe, the second step, they will say, yes, I'm on observe in my project. And then the rest of the team knows where you are, what you try to do, and what type of help you need. And so it becomes kind of a new language. So our 7th step, there's a trick to remember. It's focused, so F-O-C-U-S-E-D. And so that's the first letter of every step. So it helps to remind, but it really became a cultural lever in our company. So that's what I have today. So the book is edited by Thiga, and the French version is available already. We're working on an English version for next month, and a Spanish version will come right after. And that's it. In the book, you will find the activities, the deliverable, and there's also a BlaBlaCar example where we applied the full method, step by step, so there's a concrete dimension of it. That's what I had today. Thank you very much.